Trump. Untold Stories Episode 7. The 2016 Battle. Defeating Hillary with shock, strategy, and scandal. In the previous episode, we chronicled the surreal transformation of Donald Trump from real estate mogul and reality TV star into the Republican Party's nominee for president. But the story of the 2016 election truly comes alive when we examine what happened next. The brutal, unpredictable general election showdown between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. This wasn't just a campaign, it was a culture war, an information war, and a seismic shift in how politics is done. This episode dives deep into the strategies, some would say tactics of genius, others would call them manipulative or even dangerous, that Trump used to win one of the most shocking upsets in American political history. To understand how Donald Trump defeated Hillary Clinton, we must begin by understanding the context. Hillary was no ordinary political opponent. She had been a central figure in American politics for over 3 decades. First Lady, U.S. Senator, Secretary of State, a champion of women's rights and liberal values. She was backed by the Democratic establishment, supported by the media, and well-funded. For many, her victory seemed inevitable. The New York Times, 538, CNN, nearly every major outlet and polling aggregator predicted a Clinton win. But Trump was not running a normal campaign. He wasn't playing by the rules. In fact, he was actively dismantling the very concept of rules in political engagement. Where Clinton offered carefully curated policy platforms and measured speeches, Trump offered raw emotion, unfiltered rhetoric, and a brash, confrontational style that defied convention. He cast himself not as a politician, but as a fighter, and every time he opened his mouth, it felt like a punch. Trump's strategy hinged on a few core principles: dominate the media cycle, delegitimize his opponent, energize the base, and suppress the vote among key Democratic constituencies. It was ruthless, and it was effective. Weaponizing the media. While traditional candidates focused on expensive ad buys and meticulously scheduled media appearances, Trump used social media as his weapon of choice. Twitter, in particular, became his virtual campaign headquarters. With just 140 characters, he could provoke outrage, ridicule opponents, or set the agenda for the next news cycle. Every tweet was a headline. Every insult became a viral moment, and the media, caught between outrage and ratings, couldn't look away. Mainstream outlets like CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News gave Trump billions of dollars in earned media coverage. Every rally, every off-the-cuff remark, every controversial statement became a spectacle. Unlike previous candidates who feared gaffes, Trump welcomed them. In fact, the more controversial he became, the more attention he received, and the more supporters he gained, branding the enemy. Crooked Hillary, one of Trump's most powerful tools, was branding. He understood better than most politicians that people remember feelings more than facts. His nickname for Hillary Clinton, Crooked Hillary, wasn't just a catchy insult. It became the cornerstone of his campaign. Every speech, every debate, every rally featured some variation of this phrase. He cast her as deceitful, entitled, and corrupt. He referenced the Clinton Foundation, the Benghazi attack, and especially the private email server scandal. The email controversy, which had simmered since 2015, became Trump's weapon of mass distraction. He spoke about it constantly. He accused Clinton of destroying evidence, risking national security, and lying to the American people. And when FBI Director James Comey announced, just 11 days before the election, that the Bureau was reopening the investigation, it gave Trump's narrative renewed legitimacy. Even though the FBI later found no wrongdoing, the damage was done. The social media war and information chaos. Behind the scenes, another battle was unfolding, online. Trump's campaign, along with third-party groups, conservative influencers, and anonymous users on platforms like Reddit and 4chan, flooded the internet with memes, misinformation, conspiracy theories, and anti-Clinton propaganda. Fake news articles with headlines like "Pope endorses Trump" and "Hillary sells uranium to Russia" spread like wildfire on Facebook. Much of this content came from troll farms, bot networks, and even foreign actors, particularly Russian entities. The Internet Research Agency, a Kremlin-linked group, ran thousands of fake accounts posing as American voters. Their goal was not just to support Trump, but to sow division, suppress turnout among key Democratic demographics, and discredit American institutions. Trump didn't create these forces, but he benefited from them. He amplified them, he legitimized them, and he never disavowed them. Cambridge Analytica and data warfare. Another controversial player was Cambridge Analytica, a data analytics firm that claimed to use psychographic profiling to target voters based on their personality traits. They harvested personal data from tens of millions of Facebook users without their consent. With this information, they built models to predict and influence voter behavior. This allowed the Trump campaign to micro-target swing voters with tailored messages, fear-based ads about crime, immigration, and terrorism. African-American voters in key states were targeted with messages designed to discourage turnout. While the effectiveness of these tactics remains debated, they represented a new frontier in political warfare, one powered by surveillance capitalism and behavioral manipulation. The debates: performance over policy. The presidential debates were unlike anything in modern memory. Trump interrupted Clinton repeatedly, called her a liar, and even threatened to jail her. At one point, he loomed behind her on stage, an act many saw as intimidation. Clinton tried to remain composed, reciting policy points and citing experience. But Trump understood the medium, television. He wasn't debating, he was performing. And for millions of Americans, that performance felt more real, more passionate, more human, even if it was filled with inaccuracies and aggression. Clinton, by contrast, seemed polished, rehearsed, and out of touch. She had decades of experience, but Trump had an emotional connection with his base. He wasn't talking to the country, he was talking to them. Access Hollywood and the art of counterattack. In October 2016, a 2005 tape emerged in which Trump was heard bragging about groping women without consent. The media exploded. Politicians called for him to drop out. Republican leaders distanced themselves. But Trump did what no traditional candidate would do. He doubled down. In a stunning act of political jujitsu, he held a surprise press conference with women who had accused Bill Clinton of sexual misconduct. He turned the focus from his scandal to Hillary's past. It was a brutal, cynical move, but it worked. He neutralized the story, rallied his base, and survived yet another storm. Election day, the red wave no one saw coming. By election night, the consensus was clear. Clinton would win. Polls had her ahead in nearly every swing state. But the numbers had missed something vital: the white working-class voter in the Rust Belt. The disillusioned Democrats who couldn't bring themselves to vote for Hillary. The suburban conservatives who kept quiet but voted red. Trump won Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, all states that Obama had won twice. He lost the popular vote by nearly 3 million, but won the Electoral College with 306 votes to Clinton's 232. The aftershock. The world was stunned. Protests erupted in cities across America. The media scrambled for explanations. Some blamed the FBI. Others pointed to Russian interference, voter suppression, sexism, or Clinton's own failures. But one thing was undeniable. Trump had rewritten the political playbook. He used outrage as strategy, lies as tools, and identity as currency. He turned Twitter into a weapon, scandals into smokescreens, and division into momentum. He didn't win despite breaking the rules. He won because he broke them. Trump's 2016 victory wasn't just a political upset. It was a psychological revolution. It showed that in a world of fractured attention, emotional truth often trumps factual accuracy. That, in the age of algorithmic media, the loudest voice wins. He shattered norms. He hijacked the narrative. He didn't just challenge the system. He proved that under the right conditions, someone who rejected every political convention could still rise to the highest office in the land. Next time, we follow Trump into the White House, where disruption became governance, and the campaign never really ended. This is historical figure, Donald Trump. Untold Stories. Stay with us.